This is Pete Freitag of Foundeo, and I'm going to give you a quick screencast of installing FuseGuard Web Application Firewall for ColdFusion. So we've got our example website here, which is a site that has a number of different vulnerabilities in it, such as SQL injection. We've got a file upload vulnerability, which allows a CFM file to be uploaded and executed on the server. We've got some cross-site scripting vulnerabilities that allows parts of the page to be modified as we see fit. And so these things aren't good, and we want to be able to protect against these types of vulnerabilities that might show up in our code. And because just like any type of software bug, a security vulnerability can show up without you necessarily knowing about it. So it's always good to have something in place to help keep you protected from these types of things. So that's exactly what FuseGuard does. So to install it, you're going to download the evaluation from our site, foundeo.com/security. Click on this link and then fill out this form. From there, you're going to get a zip file which you can extract, and the first thing you're going to do is take this FuseGuard folder and just copy it into your web root. So we'll paste it right in there, and that contains really the core of FuseGuard. Everything it needs is basically in that folder. Your next step is optional, and you can install a database if you like, and the database is used to log malicious requests on the site or requests that are blocked by FuseGuard. And it's not required that you use a database, but it is the nicest way to view the logs, in my opinion. And also, we have a nice log viewer that's web-based, and in order to use that, you need to use FuseGuard with a database. So if you don't use a database, you can use other facilities for logging. We have a logging API that you can extend to write your own, or you can use the CFmail logger to send an email. You can use CFlog logger, which will log to the file system. You could write your own to log to syslog or whatever type of facility you wanted to log to. We also have a Derby. So Derby is an embedded database included in ColdFusion 8 and up, and if you want to get FuseGuard up and running with a database real quickly on your local development environment, this is a good way to go. So what you do is just copy that derby.cfm somewhere that you can access, and it's going to ask you for your ColdFusion administrator username and password, and it'll let you create a new data source. And you can specify a password that you'll use to log into the FuseGuard web manager as well. So that's a good way to go if you just want to get it up and running quick. And so your third step of the installation is going to be to add some code to your Application.cfc or your Application.cfm file. And to do that, you're really just going to copy and paste a chunk of code that we give you from the that's included in the zip file. You can look inside example application.cfc or example.application.cfm if you're using an application.cfm file. Okay, so this is our code here, and once we put that in place, FuseGuard should actually be running using the default configuration and should be blocking requests. So if I retry this particular request here, now I'm going to get blocked by FuseGuard. And the way that this page looked is fully customizable. It's located in this views folder, blocked requests. And so you could edit that to look however you want. That's just the standard default one that comes with. And so from there we can see that a lot of things that used to work are now no longer working. Some of these cross-site scripting attacks are all getting blocked now, and now we can go into the FuseGuard Web Manager and see, okay, this is our dashboard view, which is kind of the default once you log in. It gives you a summary of how many requests were blocked or logged and each day. So we can look at the graphs here and see what types of filters were logged, what URIs are being logged, or if you prefer a more tabular view, you can see it in this type of view as well, and then you can click in and get some detail to find out more about each of these different vulnerabilities that were being exploited. So that's the core of getting it installed, up and running. From there, the next thing you might want to do is modify the configuration a little bit. And so if you go into your FuseGuard components configurators folder, you'll find a number of CFCs in there that you can use to customize how FuseGuard works. So one of the first things you'll notice is that you can specify a default log level and a default block level. So what that means is each part of FuseGuard returns a number from 0 through 10. 0 meaning there was no threat detected, and 10 meaning it was probably a good chance, that close to 100% chance that the request was a malicious one. So you can tell it, for example, in the default configuration we're saying only block requests that have a threat level of 10, meaning we're pretty sure that it is a malicious request. And then we're saying here with the log level of 1 that we want to log anything that might be considered a threat. So it's going to log anything 1 through 10. And then you can actually customize that on each filter level. And so as we mentioned, there's different loggers that you can specify. Here's the database logger. The CF log logger is commented out. And here's the SMTP logger. And you'll notice that the language that you use to configure FuseGuard should look pretty familiar to you if you're a ColdFusion developer, because it's all ColdFusion. So that's one of the benefits of it, is that it's fully configurable and customizable in a language that you already know, ColdFusion, not some XML language or something you have to go ahead and learn. There's a language that you already know. So FuseGuard is a set of different filters that inspect a request and then return that number from 1 to 10, giving it the threat of the request. So we've got a number of different filters here: repeat offender filter, simple IP blocking filter, ID validation filter, and you can see they're all added here, and some of them might have different options that you want to set on them, and you can do that before you add it into FuseGuard. And so what I typically do when I set up a site is, so like I'll create a configurator specifically for a given site, make a Bob configurator, and then you could have it extend the default configuration and then customize it from there. So one final thing to note that you might want to check out, foundeo.com security, and the documentation and the CFC API reference are pretty handy. So here's the documentation. It's going to tell you how things are configured, and then we also have a full CFC API reference that you can go through and use to see how things are configured. For example, let's say we want to look at how the file upload filter, we can see that we have functions we can call on it: set allowed file extensions or set denied file extensions, and etc. And If you want to build your own filter, you just create a filter that extends this base filter and then add it into your configurator, and then it's part of FuseGuard, and its logging capabilities allow it to show up right within FuseGuard Manager. So that's essentially installing FuseGuard in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we will be happy to help you configure and assist you with any installation type questions you might have. Thanks.